Radio, broadcasting live to you from Marina, Lagos. How you doing? How is the weather dealing with you? The weather is actually dealing fine with me because all the hotness, the host of heaven have carried all the hotness and carry it and go. Okay, you're welcome to the Health Talk Show here on Lagoon Radio. And Lagoon Radio is your number one online gospel radio powered by the Diocese of Lagos, Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion. And I'll be your host for the show. My name is Sinmidele Oke. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, Instagram and Twitter at Lagoonradio.Ng, and of course our YouTube channel at LagoonTV. If you need to put faces to the voices you'll be hearing here today in the studio, and you can also make use of our apps by listening on online radio box Lagoon Radio or on Radio Garden. Just search Lagoon Radio and you'll keep listening to Lagoon Radio. Okay, today we would actually continue our mental health series, and I have a very special guest here with me, and basically last week we talked about OCD, that's obsessive compulsive disorder. And while I was doing my research on OCD, I actually knew that a lot of people are actually living with this OCD. We are actually living with OCD and we think, oh, we are okay, we are fine. No, we are okay. OCD is not 100% something bad, but at least it's something that we actually live with, and something that we should actually learn to manage at the same time. So today, like I said last week we'll be discussing another topic on the mental health series, and that is schizophrenia. Even this the topic self anyway, schizophrenia, it's just something very big word. All these medical people here, don't mind us. We can actually be funny, and at the same time we'll call one big name like this and you will think, oh, this thing, no, it will kill me, but it's not a big deal really. So today we'll be doing schizophrenia, and I have here my lovely, beautiful, pretty guest with me here in the studio. Is no other person than Adeola Oyewole Adeola Ifeoluwa, and she's popularly known as Ade Ife. She came all the way from the University of Lagos, Unilag, our Unilag. Good morning, Adeola.
Good morning, Ma. Good morning, my guests. I hope we are all fine. How is the weather treating us actually? Because I'm feeling cold.
You're really feeling cold. You're welcome to Lagoon Radio, Adeola. Hope you're good and hope you're doing fine. And Adeola will be doing justice to today's topic. Like, I'm basically going to be leaving the floor to her. Like, let her just trash everything we need to know. Let her tell us everything we need to know about schizophrenia. And the series still continues. Really, the series still continues because I got to know that mental health is not just one topic. Because before, when you tell people that mental health, they'll be like, mental health, the way my brain process things, the way I react to stuff, the way I allow things to affect me. Mental health is actually way more than that. Okay, so launching you into this show, let's briefly go on a music break and we will be right back. Stay connected to Lagoon Radio. Don't go anywhere. We are still here as we want to start a discussion on schizophrenia. Okay, our beloved guest, Adeola, can you please give us an overview on what schizophrenia is? Like a brief description about it.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and everyone listening to me. Schizophrenia is a chronic severe mental health disorder that affects the way a person thinks, the way a person perceives reality, affects the way someone thinks, someone reacts, and someone relates with people. Well, schizophrenia cannot be cured, but it can be treated. Yes, it can actually be treated. And people with schizophrenia don't do well in the society. They tend to have problem at work, with relationship, and they tend to have problem in school. Like I said, it can't be cured, but it can be controlled with proper treatment. It's also a fragmented way of thinking. That is caused by dopamine imbalance. Excessive amount of dopamine in the frontal lobes of the brain can actually cause schizophrenia. And there are four major pathways involved in these things, which are the mesocortical, the mesolimbic, the neurostratia, the tuberoindividual pathway. and all these parts will start from the ventral tegmental area. So basically, schizophrenia is just a chronic severe mental disorder that affects the way someone thinks, and the fact that someone is not behaving rightly or someone has mental health or mental issue does not mean they have schizophrenia. We are going to learn more about it as we go on.
All right, thank you so much. So, talking about, you talked about dopamine. Can you just tell us what exactly dopamine is in the brain or in the body?
Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the brain. Like I said, it's in the frontal lobe of the brain. So it's a neurotransmitter that actually affects. So excessive amount of dopamine in the frontal lobe of the brain can actually cause schizophrenia. It can affect you mentally.
Okay, thank you so much. So, what actually can cause the excessive? What can cause dopamine to be in excess at the frontal lobe of the brain? Like, what can cause excessive dopamine? Is it maybe food intake or?
Oh, okay. Well, low serum vitamin D level. We have different vitamins, vitamin A, B, C, D, and we all know that vitamin C can come gotten from citrus. So we know vitamin K, we know vitamin D. So when there is low amount
Okay.
of vitamin D level, it can also cause it. That's an
Okay,
factor.
all right, thank you so much. So, basically, schizophrenia is a chronic severe mental disorder that affects the way someone thinks, the way someone expresses emotions, perceives reality, and the way someone relates to others. And like you said, basically, it can actually affect the way someone performs in the society, in school, at work. It can also affect one's relationship with others. So thank you so much. I think you did justice to that. So moving forward, I believe medically there's nothing without signs and symptoms, no matter how small the signs and symptoms actually are. So what are the early signs or what are the early symptoms and also the late symptoms of schizophrenia?
Okay, starting with the early signs of schizophrenia, it actually starts early in men than in female. In the male, it starts from the late teen to the early 20s, from like 16 years and above to the early 20s, while in the female, early 20s to the early 30s. So it is actually it actually occurs more earlier in the male than in the female, and the period in which schizophrenia starts when it's called the prodromal period. That's when it starts its early symptom, and it can last for days, it can last for weeks, it can last for years, and you can't specifically say this person has schizophrenia from the early symptoms because there's no particular trigger. But often you can know from the behavior of the person, behavior changes such as withdrawal, high temper, high temperature, then difficulty in sleeping and troubleshooting. Those are the early signs of schizophrenia. And the late signs of schizophrenia are divided into three. We have the psychotic late symptom, we have the negative, and we have the positive. When we say positive, does not mean it's actually good, but still, it's actually part of a late symptom. And I'm going to be explaining them. The psychotic symptom, we have the hallucination, we have the delusion, we have the catatonia, and we have the disorganized hearing. So I'm going to be explaining them in details. Delusion is just a false or mixed feeling of something that is not real. Like someone who has schizophrenia can probably believe that they are a god or they act like God, which is not real. Even when you tell the person that, oh, there's only one God and you're not a god, they don't believe. They just have this impression, this very terrible feeling, and it's just
Like they have this bossy feeling, like this
exactly.
feeling that I can do and undo.
And you can't correct them. You can't even change anything they believe, they believe. So that's delusion. Then hallucination is sensations that are not real. Imagine you feel someone is touching you when it's not even real. And the common source of sensation hallucination is a common source is hearing voices, screaming, shouting. Some people just wake up and they'll be touching their head and you'll be like, can't you hear a voice? And I'm like, which voice are you hearing? So that's hallucination. Then another one is catatonia. It's a condition when someone stops speaking and their body is fixed in a position for a long time. It can be for a short time, but it's just when someone stops speaking and they can't move their body is just fixed for a long time. And negative symptoms can be forgetting things, losing your mind, losing focus, can't pay attention, then being unable to make decisions. When they tell you to look at something, it takes you time and you can't you are just so indecisive on something. Yes, those are the negative symptoms, exactly.
All right, thank you so much. So, like you said, schizophrenia is actually more common in women than in men, right?
No, it starts early in men.
It starts early in men
Yes,
than
women.
than women.
Yes.
Okay. Then you talked about hallucination, delusion, catatonia, and the likes to be one of the late symptoms of schizophrenia. Thank you so much. In case you want to join the conversation, you can call us on our studio line on 08189 Lagoon. That's 08189524666. 08189524666. In case you have questions for our guest for today, you can call onto our studio line, and we would actually love to speak with you so that we can know that you're really following us. Okay, thank you so much, Diola. Now, talking about disorganized symptoms of schizophrenia, can you speak briefly about that, the disorganized symptoms of schizophrenia?
Okay, like I said, disorganized speech. Some people, when you ask them something, they'll tend to say something else. Like they're talking about, okay, if you ask them about what they ate today, they'll start with, oh, I woke up, I had my bait.
Oh,
And like, what are you saying? It's
oh,
just like, they just,
it's
but
just a simple question like,
exactly. So
oh,
their speech is not coherent. It's just so
oh,
disorganized. They don't know what they
oh,
want to say, and that's
oh.
apparently what I mean by
Oh,
disorganized
so like
speech.
they are not able to communicate properly, like they
Exactly.
just say things that are out of context instead of going straight
Exactly.
to the point. And maybe whenever they are trying to drive their point home, they are trying to speak with someone, they just tend to, like, should I say diverge or divert, like,
Exactly.
oh,
So you can
oh,
ask them A and they're answering you with WXYZ. That's what
oh,
simply means by
oh,
disorganized speech.
oh, okay,
Yes.
okay, okay. Now, you talked about negative symptoms, positive symptoms. Talking about the negative symptoms, can you just give us some few examples of negative symptoms of schizophrenia?
Okay, negative symptoms like withdrawal. When
Okay.
someone has schizophrenia, they tend to be alone. They tend to withdraw from people. They don't want to interact with people. Then when they forget things, they lose their mind, or they can't speak a sentence that makes sense. Those are negative symptoms of it. Like I said, we have the psychotic, we have the positive and the negative symptoms of schizophrenia.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you so much. So, like, I also have with me here lack of emotions. Like maybe your heart is just adding, like you just don't want anything to trouble you. Maybe when people are crying, you're just there, like, why are they crying? It's not a new thing. Let's just move on. Is it a symptom of schizophrenia?
Well, I can say it is. Those people, like based on my research, and I've met people with schizophrenia, visiting a psychiatric hospital, they don't have emotions. Like they don't have, I don't want to say they don't have conscience, but when you see them fighting, beating up each other, you see them acting like, I don't want to say mentally deranged, but they don't have emotions. And whenever they can actually bite their other person, and you be like, this is wrong, they'll be like, so
Oh, oh,
they don't have
wow.
emotions at all. It's just a very, and it's actually it's not a bad thing if it's detected early. But when it starts going to the late symptoms, that's when it becomes so terrible, and they tend to take those people to psychiatric hospital and mental rehabilitation homes. That's what
Oh.
actually happens.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Thank you so much. That was actually a very good one. Okay, before we go on another music break, can you briefly tell us the causes of schizophrenia?
Well, the exact cause isn't known, but we have some factors such as genetic factor, we have abnormal brain structure, we have environment, and like I said before, neurotransmitter, brain circuits. I'm going to be explaining them briefly. Genetic factor, schizophrenia can actually run in the family, but this does not mean if your parents have it, you can have it. But there's a higher tendency that if your parents have it, you can actually have it. It can be passed from generation to generation. But
Okay.
like I said, it does not mean if your parents have it, you would have it. But it's a very good factor. So if your parents have it, there's high probability. Like you're saying, if you're a sickle cell person and you get married to someone that has AS or SS, the high probability that your children will be SS. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Another factor is the environment. Viral infection, living up in a very bad environment, such that exposes you to drugs, marijuana, then that exposes you to, like, all this poverty, stressful life can actually affect your mental health, the way you think. And that one is abnormal brain structure. People with schizophrenia tend to have abnormal brain structure. They have a larger brain actually. That's not a very conspicuous cause, but they do. Like I said before, neurotransmitter imbalance dopamine in the frontal lobe can actually cause schizophrenia. Yes, those are the major causes of schizophrenia.
All right, thank you so much. So, talking about the environment, like people with viral infections, people that are actually exposed to toxic things. Okay, would we say that if you're living in an environment whereby almost every moment they smoke this thing, and according to medical research, I stand to be corrected. If you're an indirect smoker, you tend to be more affected than the direct smoker, right? Maybe if you're the one inhaling the smoke, if you're not the one really doing the thing, if you're the one inhaling that smoke, like you tend to get more
Yes,
affected
actually,
than.
yes,
Okay,
that's true.
so now maybe for someone smoking all those things and all that, and for people living in that kind of environment, is it do we actually stand a risk of developing schizophrenia, since it's likely to affect us?
Okay, what I mean by environment now, like I don't want. I'm trying to look for an example. But let me just say a ghetto area. Yeah,
Okay.
okay, like an extreme ghetto area. It's something that you can, as a person, discipline yourself and not move to where. But even we that walk around, whenever people that smoke, and even inhaling the smoke alone tend to affect our breathing and the way. So imagine you are exposed to this regularly, and you don't you stay there when people are smoking. You still stay. Honestly, they can actually influence you.
Yeah.
So people that where you are that people are smoking, you can get to a point that you won't start. So imagine you've been inhaling the smoke and that's been affecting you. And honestly, people that I don't know if you've seen people that take drugs. They will tell you they're trying to relieve pain. They're trying to ease themselves, ease their
Yeah,
head,
yeah,
because they have this mental. They feel that they can't do without drugs. They feel that
yes.
for them to calm down, for them to be good, they have to just take something. So when you are exposed to that kind of environment, alcoholic environment, drugs, and a very bad ghetto, no, you have a risk. You stand a risk.
It's the na 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 na
Schizophrenia.
for me. So for people that are like, oh, he's my friend, she's my friend. He's smoking, she's smoking. There's nothing bad about it. I can sit with her. I can sit with him. This is actually a kind of red light. Like
Yes, actually,
one
you can
has
have
to
it.
be very careful. All right, thank you so much, Adiola. Let's go on another music break, and we will be right back to continue our discussion for today on schizophrenia. Don't forget you can join the conversation by dialing 08189 Lagoon, the 08189 524666, and you can also follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, Instagram and Twitter at Lagoonradio.Ng, and our YouTube channel on Lagoon TV to drop your comments and ask your questions. Thank you so much. Let's go on this break. We'll be right back. Stay connected. The edition of the Health Talk Show on Lagoon Radio, where we've been discussing schizophrenia. We've actually given an overview, talked about the early and the late symptoms of schizophrenia, as well as the causes of schizophrenia. So, moving forward, who can have schizophrenia?
Anybody can have schizophrenia. Anybody affects people all over the world, irrespective of your race, your gender, and your country. Anybody can have it. It's just that the earlier the symptom, the more severe it is. And like I said, it tends to happen more or earlier in men than in females. So you can see a guy or a young man or a young boy of like 16, 17 years that has schizophrenia, and you see a woman that is like 29, 28 with schizophrenia. So anybody can have it. Anybody can have schizophrenia. Anybody, yes.
All right, thank you so much. So anybody can have schizophrenia, and so that means no matter how old you are or no matter how young you are, you can have schizophrenia, right?
Yes, no matter how wealthy you are, if you don't take care of yourself and you expose yourself and have schizophrenia, yes.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, moving forward, how is schizophrenia diagnosed? What are the diagnoses of schizophrenia?
Okay, well, like I said, we have the early symptom and the late symptom. But human being, except the people in the medical field, they don't tend to notice the early symptom at the early stage of schizophrenia. So it's when it's actually at the late stage, they tend to like, something is wrong with this person. Instead of taking to the hospital. Then when the person gets to the hospital, the doctor will perform medical history of schizophrenia and some physical tests, and the doctor can perform some tests like blood tests, imaging tests using MRI or CT scan.
Okay.
Then if the doctor does not detect anything like anything convincing or anything that can say that this person has schizophrenia, they tend to recommend such to a doctor that specializes in mental health problems, which is a psychiatric doctor, and the doctor can actually diagnose and check the person. So a person is diagnosed of schizophrenia when the person has at least two of the following. Like I said, at least two, and actively for 6 months. So you can't just say someone has schizophrenia until you've seen that the person has at least two of the following: hallucination, delusion, catatonia, behavior, or disorganized speech. So at least two of these for actively 6 months. I explained this in the previous, when we were talking earlier, hallucination, delusion, if you can still remember.
Yeah.
So the person will have at least two for actively 6 months. Now the person, you cannot say the person has schizophrenia when the person has at least one of these, either hallucination, delusion, or disorganized speech. And if it keeps happening, like it keeps happening currently, the person has schizophrenia. That's how you can know mental schizophrenia.
All right, thank you so much. So we've heard that the diagnosis of schizophrenia, that we can't just conclude that one has schizophrenia if the person doesn't have at least two of the outlined symptoms for at least 6 months.
Actively 6 months.
Actively, yes. For at least 6 months. Okay, thank you so much. Now that we've learned how schizophrenia is being diagnosed, what are the treatments for schizophrenia?
Like I said, it can't be cured, but it can be controlled with proper treatment, and the following ways: medication, therapy, family therapy, social skills training, cognitive specialty therapy, then rehabilitation homes. I'm going to be explaining this briefly.
Okay.
So medication, antipsychotic drug.
Okay.
They don't cure them, but they help to suppress.
To manage.
Yes, they help to suppress and we relieve the symptoms such as delusion, hallucination, catatonia behavior. They suppress them, and they so if someone has been having it often and regularly before, to just suppress the way it happens and to just keep happening once in a while. Okay. And some of the medications include chlorphasmin, alloperidol, yes, clomapine, and lorazepam. And the only approved medication for treating schizophrenia is just clozapine. That's the only approved FDA approved medication so far, and every other one can be actually used depending on what your psychiatric doctor recommend or prescribe for you. So that's it. And rehabilitation, we all know that take them to homes where they can improve them and they can do better. Then family therapy, family can actually help them. Yes, because someone has schizophrenia does not mean that you have to just despise them. You have to show them love. You have to keep, like I said, you don't do it in the society. But with family therapy, showing them love, showing them that they can do better, can actually improve them. Then social skills training, such as like I said, they don't do well. They don't do well in society because they have problem with communication, expressing their emotions. But social skill training like communication can actually help them too. And all these things, when it's done regularly, when it's done frequently, you see that the person will just become better. Like I said, this can't be cured, but the person can actually become better. And the person might not even have it like for some time again.
Then talking about the communication problem, it could, to me, it could actually bring about a low self-esteem.
Yes.
Because I think as these people start growing up and they start becoming conscious that they actually have trouble speaking fluently or trouble communicating properly, they won't want to be talking in the public anymore. Like they would just want to be reserved, which could actually cause the withdrawal you talked about. Like they just want to be on their own because they believe that anything they say wouldn't make sense. So I think it's actually a very good one. Okay, continue.
Okay, so like you said about the communication, people with schizophrenia, they don't, like I said, and they don't know how to express themselves in public. And when there's this thing with humans, please let's stop doing this. Let us stop stigmatizing people. It's a very bad thing. It doesn't help people. This stigmatization. People obviously some people you don't have to have schizophrenia. Some people just think, okay, because I think I met someone earlier. I think that was March. Then we're talking about mental health issues, and this person said, "Oh, I have a friend that has schizophrenia." I'm like, "Eh? How we just calculate that son has schizophrenia?" And the first thing he said was that, "I used to act up, used to act as someone that does not have sense." I'm like, "Hey," I'm like, "That does not okay." I understand his point because when someone keep acting like something, are you okay? Are you fine? That kind of thing, you can probably suspect or think that the person is not okay. Or imagine you are going on the street.
This is Lagoon Radio. This is Lagoon Radio.
Okay, so like I said earlier, we stop stigmatizing people. All we can just do is to show them love. If I no when you notice that your friend is or someone is start acting up in the abnormal way, you don't have to run away from them. Just try to be nice. Try to call them and try to just we can show them love. You don't have to run away from them. So all these things will actually help them. And their coping mechanism, schizophrenia is not the only mental health issue. There are other mental health issues that people don't even talk about, but it's just because the only ones we know is maybe madness, schizophrenia, maybe psychosis, but there are other mental
Or
health.
maybe there are a lot of, I think the most common ones we know on mental health is stress, anxiety, depression, suicidal
Yes,
thoughts. Okay, those
exactly.
are the mental
Yes.
health, this thing. And there are actually still more to mental health than all this outlined one. So thank you so much. I think that's actually what you said. It falls under the psychosocial therapy, okay, which involves the family, the rehabilitation, individual psychotherapy, group support, and all that. Okay, do we still have another
Yes, I
treatment?
wanted to say something about coping mechanism.
Okay.
Sometimes depression can actually can't like when someone has been depressed for a long time, person will start acting mentally abnormal.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
So the only
yes.
one we actually in medical school, the only thing they know is you're depressed. Oh you're clinical, you're stressed. They're actually more mental health issues. So coping mechanism about it. If you feel you're having I'm talking about it generally, not even schizophrenia. If you think you have an issue or you have something that is bothering you, I think the first thing is to learn about what you think it is. Like now, we are learning about schizophrenia today. You can actually go and do more research, ask a doctor about it. Another thing is if you feel you have signs or you're showing symptoms of some mental health issues, stay focused on your goals. Have people around you that will support you, that would, I'll make you happy. Imagine you are depressed and you're in an environment that is even depressing. How will you get out? How will you become better? And that way is avoid drugs and alcohol. Yes, especially if you have schizophrenia, I beg, or if you are showing signs of it, please don't let anybody tell you taking drugs, taking marijuana reliefs. Oh, it's a big lie, please. Nah,
Or
nah, nah.
going out to take some drinks, to
Ah,
grab some alcoholic drinks,
please.
and we
That'll
say
make
we
you
are
forget
flexing.
forget your issue, forget your life.
Yes,
Please, that's
exactly.
not true. That's not true. And that way is when relaxation and stress management. I think this should be inculcated. Stress management should be studied and should be more. We should make it more obvious. Yes, there's actually a course called stress management. You can learn how to manage stress. So like me now, I'm actually stressed, and when I feel that I'm actually stressed, I just take a break. I know when I have headache, because when I have this current headache, I know I'm stressed. So we should also learn about stress management. And lastly, join a support group, like we said. Have people that make you happy. Have good friends. Have good companion. Have people that will not make jest of you, of your issue, of your mental health
Yeah.
disorder. So those are the coping mechanisms for schizophrenia. Yes.
All right, thank you so much. So we're wrapping up gradually. Let's briefly go on another music break, and we'll be right back to wrap up the show as we'll be discussing on the important parts, the major important part of this topic, schizophrenia. We'll be right back. Right, you're welcome back, and we're actually wrapping up the show gradually, but I still have two important questions here that I would love to ask our guests. I've actually given us the overview, talked about the early signs and symptoms, as well as the late symptoms, the causes, who can have schizophrenia. And she said men actually have higher risk of having schizophrenia than women, and anyone can have schizophrenia from your childhood and all that till you grow. But maybe as you grow, you now start to recognize it and you start to get aware of it. Then she also talked about how it's diagnosed, talking about taking the family history and all that. And she mentioned something important, that your parent or that you have a family history of schizophrenia doesn't mean you can have schizophrenia. Then she talked about the treatment. She talked about the psychosocial therapy, the medications, and all that. And she talked about the support group as well. And she said that you should surround yourself with positive people of positive mind, not just anybody, and people that understand your situation and would love to actually identify with it and take you that way and help you manage it. Then she talked about stress management, like we should learn how to manage stress, especially in this Lagos. You cannot be in Lagos and you will not be stressed. Even with the stress in Lagos, and the things going on around that, everybody in what trenches, you will you can fall into depression, and for you to avoid that, just learn how to manage stress, and and everything will be fine. Okay, basically, I want to ask this question: are people with schizophrenia dangerous? Like, should we run away from them? Like, as if we identify someone living with schizophrenia, should we run away from such people and say, "Hey, schizophrenia patients have come"? Oh, like, let's just run away from them and say, "I don't want to have anything to do with you. You have schizophrenia. No, move close to me." Should we do away with them? Are they dangerous?
No, they are not. But they are not dangerous. But it depends on the environment.
Okay.
Like, we have rich people who have schizophrenia and people like that. I have a particular mentor. She's a doctor, Dr.
Okay.
Shotumbi. Then she has a son, last born. He has this, I don't want to say, but he has symptoms of schizophrenia.
Yeah.
So anytime, and he's always at home. So, and they live in a very posh place. So anytime he's trying to show symptoms, they take him inside the house. Then when it's okay,
Calm.
they bring him back. So someone like that, I play with him.
Okay.
I won't touch his head. I try to talk to him, even though he can't speak. Like I said, they have problem with
Disorganized
exactly.
speech.
Even when I'm asking him how are you, he's saying something else, but that's not what. As far as it's not okay. And I said about the environment. People who are in a very violent environment, they are dangerous. They can break what's on your head. So that's why I said that.
Like our Isaleko.
That's why I said that no, but there is always a but, with the environment. So and something, if you have schizophrenia and you see that the person is in a very terrible environment and the person is even trying to help themselves. Imagine someone that has schizophrenia and is taking hard drugs. If you mess up with that person, just know that you are going to find yourself.
It's not like putting petrol
in fire.
in fire.
Exactly. So it just depends on the person, the environment. So you can't imagine someone that stays in Lekki. That's schizophrenia. They're not dangerous. Just relate with them, but someone that stays in, I'm not talking. I'm not saying anything. But I bully. So I'm just saying.
You're not mentioning environment. Like that's actually on a lighter note, really, because at times I wonder. In Lagos Island here, there are times that we just hear that they started fighting, and by the time you now what actually caused the fight, it will be something that doesn't even make sense. It could be football. It could be Park Sibi, and before you know it, they will start to exchange gunshots. They will start to carry knife up and down, and before you know it, they will say, two people just died, as a result of the senseless fight. Let me put it that way.
People like that, if you check them very well, you see that they are not mentally balanced, because a balanced person, someone who is sane, cannot just come out, because even when my favorite club, Chelsea, when they lose, what we just do is we cry.
So you're a Chelsea fan.
Oh yes,
Anyway.
I am. You just cry, and you can't just come out and start saying I want to beat my parents. People like that are just because of unnecessary things come out. You want to start throwing bottles. If you check them, they're under the influence of hard drugs, or they've taken a lot. Just they don't know balance. They just feel that. And those people, they are psychotic. If any small trigger like this, hey,
they will just flare up,
exactly,
and everything will just scatter.
So people like that, they're actually showing signs. You can't say they have schizophrenia, but they're showing signs. All this bad temper. Some people, you can't even talk to them. Bad temper. So all these signs, you should actually watch it. Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much. We're wrapping up. Lastly, I have this question: is schizophrenia the same as madness?
Well, I would not say it is the same thing, because schizophrenia is a mental health disorder that is caused by dopamine imbalance in the frontal lobe.
Yeah.
For anybody that is mentally sick, they tend to call them mad person. Okay, people on the street, people that roam around on the street, you call them mad people. But you can actually see someone that has schizophrenia, they have schizophrenia until you live with them.
Yes.
So I can't say someone has schizophrenia is mad. I won't say that. But like I said, it depends on the environment. Someone that is in ghetto now. And other thing I would say is that schizophrenia can be controlled, can be self-controlled if it's detected early, like all these early signs and early symptoms. If it's detected early, all these medications, all this therapy, all this coping mechanism, and if it's done, you don't understand even ask schizophrenia to tell you, this person, man, she back up. You'll be like, really? You'll be like, I've never even seen that. You'll be telling you that, oh man, she back up. You'll be like, I've never seen any signs before, but they actually have it and they are dealing with it. But someone who is mad, you see them, you even know that this person is mad.
Yeah.
Say much strict. So I can't say madness is schizophrenia. No, it is not, because schizophrenia can be managed properly, can be self-controlled if the person is in a very good environment. But madness, nah, it's all the way around.
All right, thank you so much. I think that'll be all for today on Lagoon Health Talk Show, where we discuss schizophrenia. But don't forget, if you actually notice someone with all the symptoms of schizophrenia, you don't have to run away from them. You have to identify with this disorder and help them to manage it, even if they cannot manage it themselves, especially the children and the inexperienced ones, because one can even have schizophrenia and not know they have schizophrenia. They just see themselves displaying, and at the trigger of any little thing, they just flare up and everywhere will just scatter. So thank you so much, Diola, and thank you so much for honoring our invitation to be our guest on this show. We'd love to have more of you over and over again. Thank you so much. It was nice. It was a very beautiful moment with you. I wish we could actually continue, but our time is actually fast spent. All right.
Sorry, I'd like to add something.
So
all this mental health issue, it is not only for medical students, not only for medical practitioners. It is for everybody. Like recently, someone was asking me, what do you know about schizophrenia? To bust your head, the first time I was when I was in SS2. I had this mentor with a psychiatric doctor. Then he took me to his hospital then, and I was like, hey, the people that actually have this. So don't say, you can even be a banker and you know a lot about schizophrenia, you know a lot about psychosis. Nobody tell you that I know in the medical field it is a lie. Read, research, ask questions, and do a lot of things about it. Ignorance is just disease, but you can know something about everything. Thank you once again.
Thank God ignorance is not schizophrenic.
No, it's not. Exactly, it's not.
All right, thank you so much. Do join us next week on another edition of the Mental Health Series here on Lagoon Radio, where we'll be discussing another interesting topic, and that is psychosis. And don't forget, Lagoon Health Talk Show is actually for the general. It's for the public to know and to create awareness on our environment in the medical way. All right, it's a bye from me to you. A very big thank you to my producer, Shab Taiwo Adeola Shabiolege. Thank you so much. And she was actually interested in this topic, and she was like, I could hear her say okay. All right, I hope you'll be here next Tuesday to produce me, so that at least you're actually going to know a lot of things about psychosis. God willing, you'll be here. All right, it's a bye from us to you. Do have a very, very beautiful Tuesday. Have a nice day. Stay blessed.
This is Lagoon Radio.